Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Cyber Speak Labs. Wait a second, we forgot to do the intro. Okay, welcome back to the Cyber Speak Labs, everyone. And I'm really excited to be doing this video. Let's be real, I'm excited about anything, but this was a nostalgic childhood memory that was unlocked by one of my subscribers. And huge shout out to the subscriber that did mention this. I had a very, very fun time going back and watching a few episodes. But we're going to be doing I guess, a security assessment over Johnny Test. And for those who do not know about Johnny Test, do not worry. I did a quick ChatGPT overview for you and even included some fun facts if you want to go back and slow down some of the video that I did provide. But I did find out some really fun, cool Star Wars facts that are also related to Johnny Test. I guess the guy that voiced Obi-Wan Kenobi in the animated Star Wars series was also the same voice as Johnny Test. And in fact, he voiced multiple different characters throughout the show. And one of the cool things about Johnny Test was it was one of the earlier shows where women were showed doing STEM activities. So, of course, this unlocked a lot of childhood nostalgia. Fun fact about me, I didn't know I was going to be in a STEM profession when I got to my adult age. I thought I was going to be a police officer, but things are things, and I went into cybersecurity. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and enter the Johnny Test universe and let's deep dive into some cyber briefs or cyber risk assessments with Johnny Test. So let's go.
Got a head of fiery hair and a turbocharged backpack. His genius sisters use him like a lab.
Just real quick. I forgot how amazing animated TV series were with their intro scene music. Like, this was a headbanger in middle school for me. Okay, anyways, we'll go ahead and fast forward here.
A neat-free dad at home, a super busy mom.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about the dog. I think his name was like Doug or Duddy or something like that. Either way, irrelevant to what we're doing here. That intro scene was a minute long. I don't know how long intro scenes are now for most like animated TV shows, but holy cow, that felt longer than it should. Okay.
Now remember, class.
If you guys have not seen any of my reaction videos before, I will tend to fast forward some of, I would say, the not relevant pieces, just so you guys aren't watching an hour-long YouTube video. Now, if you do like watching hour-long YouTube videos, go outside, be normal, or enjoy the fresh air. Leave the dungeon of your fart box of a bedroom. Like, just go do something other than YouTube. But I guess, if you somehow stumbled upon my channel, good for you. I guess you're gonna be learning about some cybersecurity things, but go for a walk. Like, open the air or open the window to get some air in. I don't know. So anyways, long story short, you'll be seeing a couple of cutscenes here and there. Now, again, there's gonna be I would say there's going to be about 1 to 3 focuses I'm going to be aiming here. Number 1 is going to be the physical security aspect. Like I said earlier, he has twins, Johnny Test. He has twin sisters in this specific series, and they have a secret lab that they keep from their parents that they really don't know about. So I'm going to be talking about the physical security aspect. And then the overall, I would say, like, general cybersecurity risk that are present. So we'll be kind of doing like a verbal risk assessment as we go through this different type of episode. Okay.
Our history test. In fact, it's the biggest history test in history.
So I will just kind of summarize the story plot that's already been unfolding. I saw this episode like many years ago, and I'm talking probably about a good 10 years ago. Um, Now, essentially, Johnny Test has a history test that's coming up, and they come up with this amazing idea to find a way to avoid the history test because they didn't study. Um, I, on the other hand, was a very good noodle, and I did study for some of my tests, not all of them, but uh, I'm gonna be honest, I never called in sick to avoid an exam. Now, when I went to college, I did get sick a lot. It wasn't real sick, it was sick of going to class. And I didn't do like presentations or group projects, but I never like skipped on a test. And I don't know why like some kids, maybe it's just like test anxiety, maybe it's like the thought of studying. But anyways, this instance specifically, Johnny just didn't want to study. He wanted to go have fun with his dog. He wanted to go do his Johnny Test adventures, very main character vibes here. So without further ado, we'll just go ahead and continue this.
Dookie? No, here's a steak because you're the greatest dog in the world, Dookie.
Dookie, that's the name. What did I say, duty?
No time talk. Test tomorrow. Dude, didn't study. I gotta buy some time. One sick day ought to do it.
But you're not sick.
Not yet. What do you want? I brought you these flowers.
Okay, so we can see here, like, he's just trying to get sick from other people. I did go to college with this one guy, and he was very adamant about getting sick. And during college, his professor eventually called him out on his fluff, essentially. And he's like, you know what, if you get so sick so much, why don't you show up with a doctor's note? Because I'm pretty sure schoolitis isn't a real disease. I kid you not. This guy went everywhere, like trying to get people to breathe on him. And when I went to college, we had this app called Yik Yak, and basically it was anonymous Reddit posting, so you could talk about anyone or anything without having an identity tied to it. Don't know who thought this was the best thing to ever be invented. There's a reason why this got banned at like academic institutions, like even high school, middle schools, elementary schools. Like this app just, I don't even know if it's still in use, but this guy posted on Yik Yak and he goes, hey, I'm trying to have the most complicated viral distributed disease for study purposes. Please come over and cough and sneeze on me. I'll be located like in the center of campus. And there was a line of people that that was there to like cough and sneeze on this guy. And he was out there for a while and he would update like his Snapchat stories and he'd be like, "Oh, come cough and sneeze on me. I'm trying to like prove a point to my professor." This dude probably was taking like the best Flintstone multivitamins ever because he never got sick. And it blew my mind. Like I don't know how. And like his roommates were sick. He never got sick. So I'm curious to like know what happened to this guy. He did pass that class. I do know that because he was in my other studies, but yeah, I like way far away from the point of this video. But anyways. Okay, so this is a great place to pause here. Just a couple of things already. I would call out risk number one being the fact that his sisters most likely have this virus in their environment that's just completely not contained, and anyone can allegedly just walk into the lab like what they did and just take this so said virus and infect themselves with it. I'm not saying we had a pandemic that was built on similar rates or scenarios, but I'm also saying how not unrealistic this is. And so I'm going to call that out as uncontained sensitive information, or potential insider threat here, using internal information for personal gain, for espionage or their part. And then the second piece that we have here is that physical security aspect. Again, it's been a very, very, very hot second since I even watched this show, but the fact that they're just like, "Oh, I'm gonna stroll right in, oh, with my dog to go look at this virus," and the dog's, like, skin flakes and fur and toenails and, like, nose juices could potentially also add to the high contamination that's already so said virus. So, anyways, we're gonna have 2, insider threat or potential spillage of sensitive confidential information, and then risk number 2 that we have here, which is the lack of physical security door enforcement, which again, right, assuming they might have like a secret passcode on the outside that Johnny happens to know. But again, right, faulty security here for a very sensitive lab environment.
I want to test something.
And then he just like picks up like a random object that's like, "Hi, I'm gonna test this now." Again, there's no lock and key. There's nothing like this annoying little brother just walking down and just picking up random things with like what appears to even be a needle or a sharp like endpoint here. Again, there's just so much happening. And the sisters here, oh my gosh, they look so unamused. They're like, "What are you doing?"
Bring it on! Bring on the test!
No. Mom and Dad have forbidden us to go anywhere near you after last week's perfect smile experiment.
So, again, I'm gonna slap another risk. This is risk number 4 that we have here, and this is a lack of data loss, or I would say like an emergency response plan, because clearly there was something that became uncontained. It brought danger. There's no way to contain the threat here. There's no plan. And essentially, it looks like things got out of hand and escalated outside of the norms of the typical expectations here. So I'm gonna put risk number 4 for lack of incident response plan.
Test stuff!
So I'm gonna slap risk number 5 here. I'm not gonna like talk about the fact that he just picked up random chemicals and just spread them all over their face, because we already slapped a previous risk on him being able to pick up random objects and do whatever he wants. But another risk here was the fact that he was able to like politely sway his sisters, like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do what I want. Please get me sick. I'm your cute little brother here. Hi." I mean, that's social engineering 101, right? A really good, really, really, really good social engineers. They're very charismatic. They're very emotionally intelligent. Like, they know how to read a room. They know how to read personalities. They know essentially how to make someone feel very important or make them feel very special. And that's why people fall victim to scam. So I'm going to slap a finding here and say, hey, this is a lack of security awareness around social engineering or luring attempts as well. Social engineering can come more than just like an email. It can be a physical conversation. It could be a USB dropped in a parking lot. You'd be surprised how common that is. Johnny Test here is clearly using his personal gain to use very terrible face moisturizer and to also find ways to get out of his test with a disease that most likely doesn't have a cure here.
What are you doing? Johnny, stop! Isotope!
But I feel fine, so...
So I'm just gonna slap another finding here. So usually especially like in the cyber realm, and I don't know if other industries do this. I just work on the defense side. I not really my expertise with other areas, but typically when we go through incident response, I guess earlier in the video, I had talked about the lack of incident response plan here. And part of that incident response plan at the very end, a lot of people call them, I would say, after actions or incident review time. And they go over the events that happen leading up to that cyber event, that cyber breach. and they'll discuss, hey, how can we prevent this from happening again? What can we do to essentially secure the business or our environment so that way we can avoid this specific situation again? And clearly, the twins did not do that after the first incident with Mega Johnny and his failed experiment within smiles and how there's just like laser beams everywhere. Clearly, that failed because here we are again. Same scenario, different situation,
But
essentially.
in the meantime, don't show Mom and Dad. Johnny? Johnny?
So I'm gonna slap another finding here, and that is gonna be lack of communication with I would say like senior leaders, senior management here, especially if it's something that can be externally seen, because now not only are we talking about internal data or revenue or information loss, but now we are talking about external loss. And this can be reputation, this can be visibility, this can be something that is going to impact the brand and reputation of so said company or organization. So in this case, the company would be the Test family. And the potential brand loss is literally Johnny walking outside in public and being like, look what my sister's made. And my tongue's blue and I got like dots all over my body and I don't know what they are. And this is an undisclosed disease. Hi, I'm Johnny Test. I live on this road in this house. And obviously that's not a good brand for the parents. You don't want to be known as like the house in the neighborhood with uncontained diseases. Just just no, just no.
Oh!
Oh, is he going to be okay? Get Johnny home for bed rest and no school tomorrow.
Yes! I mean,
And again, right? I'm not I'm not saying I know a lot in the medical field. So if Dr. Mike is watching this, he can absolutely fact check me if he wants. But personally, with like the amount of Grey's Anatomy or Good Doctor or just any medical show in general that I've watched,
I am a surgeon.
usually new diseases, they go into what is called a quarantine room. And that is where the subject matter that's being analyzed and everything gets to stay until they know what they're dealing with, what type of virus or what type of bacteria. And so the fact that there's not a containment phase here within this incident, I'm going to slap a risk on this. So failure to have any sort of containment. And you might be like, well, Reanna, we did talk about, earlier. No, that is incident response plan, not containment. This is a lack of containment strategies or containment protocols. Totally different, I promise.
Isotope on his body.
So this here, it looks like they have a computer that is just full of all of this very confidential information, and and they didn't show it, so I'm not saying that this is not the case, but just looking at it, there doesn't appear to be any enforcement of passcode, anything that would require you to go in the computer. It just seems like they're like, boop, 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 okay, let's go. And again, right, this is just a cartoon. It's just a kid show. The fact that their dog also is just casually watching all of this PII information about Johnny's body and like the potential risks with this walking virus. It's not really the best. Like there's no read-in, there's nothing like, hey, just letting you know, this is very confidential. Like we don't know yet. We don't want like a whole lot of people know what we're working on. The dog's just kind of like, yep. The whole point of this is if I'm working on something that is very serious that I don't want a whole lot of people to know about, I'm not going to be yelling across the room, hey guys, we're working on XYZ event, or hey, all look what so-and-so downloaded. Like, we don't want to be talking about that. And mostly because we don't want people to have a sense of scare. We also don't want false information to be interpreted and then potentially again get released back out to the public. Like there's a whole thought process of why you shouldn't be doing specific things and why keeping things in a very, I would say, confidential ways. Very, very important, especially in cyber, because when we present data to anyone outside of the media, analysts or engineers, we want to make sure that the data is correct, that we're providing information with confidence. We want to make sure the whole story is being told and what the remediation is and potential how can we prevent this again in the future. So it's really, really important that the key players and key people are in these conversations. In my opinion, the dog, it is not value add. You know, like go hang out with your friend Johnny there. Duke Dudley, I already forgot his name. Okay. And literally what I said, you want to make sure the key people are in there because you don't know how people are going to react to specific incidents. Some people get very aggressive and hostile. Some people freak out like this. It's just, you want to make sure the people that are certified and can provide value are in that room. Not saying that everyone doesn't provide value, but again, when you provide information, you want to provide the whole story. Like, here is what happened, here was the spread, here's how we contained it, and then here's the remediation that we're going to be doing it. They don't even have a way for remediation. They've probably never dealt with this before. And so now you got a dog that's freaking out who is missing a hand down here. But again, right, this is why it's really important to keep information confidential until it's ready to be told out loud with the full story.
And I want you to watch TV and don't think about school.
Oh my gosh, the tube TV. with the little like cable box on top. Oh my gosh. This is the type of TV I grew up on.
Hey girls, Johnny's been quarantined.
Okay, so I'm just gonna skip a couple of scenes here with like the in-betweenness. Johnny did get taken away by the government essentially. Or local law enforcement to be quarantined, even though after everyone in that house has been exposed, apparently they don't go to quarantine. But the sisters find a cure for Johnny essentially, and then they run into the scientists that are essentially working on Johnny's analysis and body vitals, and then the dog was like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm just a really hairy kid. And so now they're chasing the dog because the dog's also a hairy kid. Johnny eventually gets into the quarantine area. He talks about basically how he's fine, but then he realizes he's getting more bloated. And according to the sister's analysis, he only has so much time before essentially he gets too bloated. So that was pretty much it for that Johnny test episode. And it was a really cute episode. It really brought back a lot of childhood memories. So thank you to the subscriber that did mention it. I will be posting all of my risk analysis on this, I would say, on the end screen for you guys, so you can go through and see exactly what my findings were. And it was really, really fun. If you guys found anything else, or if you wanted to comment any on my findings, please do so. I always enjoy reading what you guys have to talk about, essentially. And of course, if you guys have any recommendations for me, please post them in the comments. I might not be the most fastest person to getting to them. I have a whole backlog of videos that I need to go through or need to do. And then next thing I know, it's December and Try Hack Me's Advent of Cyber is getting posted already. So please make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate your guys' support and everything else that you do. Because of you guys, I'm able to continue to grow the lab and do really fun things like watching Johnny test episodes. So I do want to give a shout out to a few of my subscribers towards the end, because you guys are awesome. You guys rock. I appreciate you commenting. I appreciate everything that you do. And I definitely think you all deserve a huge shout out as well. So thank you guys, and I hope to see you in the lab again soon. Bye.